As the conflict in Israel escalates, Republicans are warning that terrorists are flooding the U.S. southern border. But wait, is that true? Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Hamas shocked the world when it attacked Israeli civilians. Now, Republicans are sounding the alarm that Hamas could attack Americans on American soil. How? Are they going to paraglide across the Atlantic Ocean? Honestly, that's more impressive than it is terrifying. No, Republicans are afraid terrorists will enter America by crossing the southern border. Given how the U.S. is facing a migrant crisis, Republicans are wasting no time in warning that the U.S. could be the next target of a Hamas strike.
What happened to Israel could happen to America because our country has been invaded by millions of people from over 160 countries. And we've been invaded by people we don't even know where they are. There are so many gotaways, the Biden administration cannot keep up with them, and they're all over the streets, all over the entire country.
The only aliens that aren't entering America are the space kind. Probably because they see what a mess everything is here and think, let's go party on Mars, where every district is a red light district. Some claim that Biden has enacted an open border policy that has created the gravest U.S. terror threat in years. And of course, Donald Trump is jumping into the fray.
The same people that raided Israel are pouring into our once beautiful USA through our totally open southern border at record numbers. These are the same people, many of them, that did a number in Israel, a sneak attack. Same people we have pouring into our country by the thousands. Are they planning to attack within our country? Crooked Joe Biden and his boss, Barack Hussein Obama, did this to us. We cannot let this happen.
So we're still blaming Obama for everything, are we? Republicans are now demanding Biden administration officials address terrorist-linked aliens at the U.S. southern border. Strangely, they're not demanding the Biden administration address the terrorist-linked aliens at Area 51, probably because they're already detained. So, is there something to this? Could Hamas terrorists be crossing the border, or is this all about getting clicks? Well, this Daily Caller report says Custom and Border Protection data showed a 75% jump in arrests of illegal aliens on the terror watch list compared to last year. The thing is, that headline is being a bit selective. It only refers to Border Patrol encounters with illegal aliens on the watch list between ports of entry, not arriving on the U.S.'s doorstep. Also, being on the terror watch list doesn't necessarily mean you're a terrorist. The list includes relatives and friends of known or suspected terrorists and people with ties to groups that are no longer considered terrorist organizations. According to a former DHS official, there is no particular reason to fear that the numbers directly translate into an increased security threat. But it is worth noting how at the southern border alone, there was a massive increase in watch list encounters between ports of entries, from just 2 in 2017 to 169 this year. Gas prices, grocery bills, watch list encounters. Seems like the only number that isn't inflating these days is wages. But the question is, with the increase in encounters, does that also mean an increase in those slipping through the border undetected? After all, a congressional report found the Biden administration may have lost track of millions of migrants crossing the southern border. Biden losing track of things? No. This is a guy that knows exactly what's going on at all times, except which way to exit a stage. The feds are warning that Hamas could be crossing the southern border. The Daily Caller obtained an internal Custom and Border Protection memo warning that individuals inspired by or reacting to the current Israel-Hamas conflict may attempt travel to or from the area of hostilities in the Middle East via the southwest border with Mexico. The memo advises CBP personnel to be vigilant for military-age men wearing military gear and traveling alone at the border, and shows the patches for Hamas, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and Hezbollah. It also warns about those connected to the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. Do they think they're going to stroll up to the border in full terrorist gear? Are they also going to be dragging a sign that says, "I'm a terrorist"? But this recent report from Homeland Security seems to back it up, warning that terrorists and criminal actors may exploit the elevated flow and increasingly complex security environment to enter the United States. Even the Guatemalan president is warning that America's border crisis invites terrorists. In fact, according to an expert cited by Fox, they're already here. In fact, they're right behind you. Look out! Huh, they're not there now? Huh. Must have seen you turning and ducked away just in time. So yes, terrorists want to get inside the U.S. The question is, are they? I'll tell you more after the break. Welcome back. Terrorists crossing the U.S. border isn't a new concern. Back in 2012, there was panic over Hezbollah terrorists crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. After all, they're heavily involved in narco-trafficking and money laundering in Latin America. I'm starting to think these Hamas and Hezbollah fellas aren't the nicest guys. And maybe people shouldn't support them, especially if you're gay. Should someone tell these protesters what Hamas, who controls Gaza, thinks about LGBTQ causes? Nah, let them figure it out on their own. But it's not like Hezbollah ever orchestrated a major terrorist attack in the U.S. So should we be worried Hamas will? Terrorists have been caught at the border. For example, in 2022, the FBI arrested an Iraqi Ohio man who aided and abetted a plot to murder former U.S. President George Bush by smuggling people across the U.S. southern border. There was also the story of a smuggler with ties to ISIS, helping migrants from Uzbekistan and other countries enter the U.S. from Mexico. CNN reports that for some counterterrorism officials, it shows that the U.S. is deeply vulnerable to the possibility that terrorists could sneak across the southern border by hiding amid the surge of migrants entering the country in search of asylum. And with the surge of illegal immigrants trying to cross the border, it's hard to sort through them all. According to a DHS Inspector General audit last year, there were issues with the southern border screening process. Agents didn't always document the screening procedures they performed, and they expedited record processing to move migrants out of processing centers that were exceeding capacity limits. So mistakes can happen. So far, there's been no confirmation from Homeland Security about whether the people apprehended have connections to Hamas. From what we know, it's usually homegrown legal immigrants or U.S. citizens who commit terrorism. As for foreign terrorist threats, the Council of Foreign Relations says that there is scant evidence that illegal immigrants have committed acts of terrorism in the United States. And the Cato Institute says the threat of terrorist entry through the southwest border is minuscule. The Cato Institute also says that foreign-born terrorists are not a huge threat in the U.S. The annual chance of being murdered in a terrorist attack committed by a foreign-born terrorist from 1975 to 2022 is about 1 in 4.3 million per year. That's more than 300 times less than the chances of being murdered in a normal homicide. And most of the casualties came from 9/11. The threat of terrorism is real, but there are a lot of people that make money off scaring you. I remember during COVID when all these Instagram influencers were sure the U.S. would face massive food shortages and famine. Never happened. Some people exaggerate the real threat of terrorists coming into the U.S. from the southern border in exactly the same way that others exaggerate the real threat of white supremacists. If everything everyone said online was true, we'd be surrounded by terrorists and white supremacists who are very hungry because there's no food. So while we shouldn't take it lightly, there's no reason to panic about Hamas entering through the southern border. They're obviously going to paraglide to the U.S. from across the ocean. The thing you really need to worry about is the malaise of modern living, which you can learn more about in my latest Deep Thoughts While Gaming, From Super to Super Sad, How Modern Life Destroyed Mario. And if you're feeling scared because of all the reports you hear, then take comfort in knowing that America Uncovered is on your side. Relax to the peaceful sound of clicks on the orange button as you give us support on Patreon. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.